all of the knowledge of any so-called extraterrestrial or other I go to extra human beings. So,
Mm.
Sirius, yes, Sirius essentially is. They say we're from Sirius. No, when somebody says you're from Sirius, what they're saying is that you're from the consciousness that Sirius gives us. When I say I'm from Sirius, I could say I'm from Orion. I could say that I'm from Pleiades, that they call it. All the different writings or all the different hieroglyphics on the dome, they give off an influence. We were given that in order to read and to know the cycles that our consciousness takes
Mm.
as the sun is in each of these particular hieroglyphics of the sky.
Mm. Man, it's always such an interesting conversation when I talk to you. Like you always make me got to go back and do some research and look up some of the stuff you talk about,
You know,
Doc.
and it sounds like
Definitely. Wow.
it sounds so contrary to everything that everybody's saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
wow.
it's like, yeah, should I believe him? Everybody says, well, I don't know because there's so much information coming. That's why I will stay on a certain course until
Mm,
people catch up.
mm, mm.
Because you know that every time I do say something, it sounds crazy. They leave, and then they say, "Wait a minute, I remember Dr. V saying something
Talked
about,
about yep.
yeah,
Mm,
the HIV, and I remember
mm.
saying something about the Bible. I remember he did a series about the Bible about AB and a third. Yeah, go
Mm.
back. That's back when I had dark hair. I didn't have
Indeed,
the face. I didn't have this belly, and yeah, I'm glad
indeed.
I left that there for people. It's like little breadcrumbs along a trail that most
Oh
people
yeah,
take.
oh yeah. No, definitely, Doc. Definitely. We're not gonna keep the family too long tonight.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have Doc back here before the month is out. I'm gonna have Doc back on here. But before we get out of here, Doc, one more time, tell the people about the rebroadcast of the
Yeah,
webinar.
thank you so much,
Yes, sir.
everybody. Please, I would love to see you there. I don't know when I'll do the next one because it took me 4 months to prepare this one, maybe 5 months. Because usually when I announce that I'm going to do one, it's usually about 5 months before I actually set the date because I've already worked on it. But it's on the 22nd at 12 noon. And if you want the link, uh, brother Rich has that
Description.
in the description. And I want to let everybody know that my wife's book is looks like it's going to be published by October.
Mhm.
And I also want to big up your particular program that's getting ready to happen.
Thank you, man.
This program with the
Blueprint for God Part 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
listen, this young brother has been on the frequency, and the people that he brings on, he becomes like the herald. He guides the ship, and they're the ones that point in certain directions, navigate the different zones of reality and consciousness.
Mhm.
Please support this brother's work. He is doing a yeoman's job, and with all of that, my numbers. I guess everything is in the section there for people to see.
Mhm.
Um, Listen, my last thing is for those of you who have been sending me messages to get you to um, the blood right ears. I'm not answering anything until after the 22nd. Okay, they're right now swamped based upon me giving that information out. I've been
Mm.
trying to get as much information. Right now, I look at there must be maybe close to 100 people that I have to actually take each of their 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 emails, put it
Mm.
aside, and then send it to the brothers who are going to help you with the blood right ears. So please have patience. I will get to that, but right now my main thing is promoting and getting myself ready for the 22nd of this month. Once again, Brother Rich, I thank you so much for allowing me to occupy your platform. And hopefully, what it is that I've said doesn't upset too many people. You think them thinking that they were spinning on a globe and that Sirius is somewhere over there and over here. No, it's not that. The very reason, listen very carefully, the very reason that the Great Pyramid can actually stay where it does, and they have that portal that faces Sirius all the time, and they have another portal that faces Orion all the time, means that we're not running around the sun, spinning, all over the place. No, we are stationary as an Earth, and everything else is moving around us.
Very interesting. I absolutely love the conversation, Doc. I look forward to the 22nd, and I'll see you on here in a couple of weeks, Doc.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Peace.
Peace. Is that you have been working on over the last 7 years,
Mm,
or the 7 year cycle, you should
mm,
see a lot of manifesting of it. And this is where you're going to see the same thing happens for people who are working on what we call the good side and the one working on the evil side.
mm,
When you're working on the evil side, you're going to see things coming into fruition. But it's also that the good side will also be seeing the karma from those who've been practicing the evil side. So
mm,
a lot of justice will be seen at this particular time. So seven is that jump off point to the number eight, which is as above, so below. So a lot of your affirmations are going to start coming through
mm,
at this point. But the thing is, this is the resting period. This is the meditative period. This is
mm,
the period when you meditate on the thing you want and don't bring anything in to try to rush it, to try to qualify it. It's working its way, just the way that a baby in the womb, nature knows what to do to bring that body to life.
mm,
So nature knows what to do with your affirmation, and you have to now release that affirmation, but hold it as a nebulous energy signature. Don't
mm,
hold it and try to say, "Well, this is what I want to." Yeah, you've already done that. I hope,
mm,
and then now you allow it to happen. And
mm,
that's the beauty of what this year will be. But it's going to be a lot of turmoil, just as much turmoil as a woman having birth.
mm,
Yeah. So you have to understand a lot of things will be happening during this time, but it's still a resting period.
mm,
Seven, that's when they talk about the seventh cycle. But this is when metaphysics will be at its height.
mm,
This is where the metaphysical principles of manifestation, of justice, of what go around come round,
mm.
all of this is where it happens within a seven cycle.
Why did God rest on the seventh day, as they say? What is it about seven that God rested on the seventh day?
It's an accretion cycle. The When we talk about consciousness accretion,
Mm,
it happens during the spin orientation of particular particles. As the spin orientation happens, you see, say for instance, if you're looking at the periodic table,
mm,
but there are periods where things what looks like evolution, but it's actually enhancement of a specific consciousness cycle.
mm,
So you have 1.1
mm,
point one, then you have 1.1.2, 1.1.3, all the way up to 1.1.6, and then it goes to 1.1.7.
mm,
So what you're dealing with is an accretion cycle before things happen in the manifested world. So
mm,
just as you're dealing with affirmations, there's an accretion cycle that solidifies or gives substance to the thing that you've been making that affirmation around.
mm,
So you can see the accretion cycle in the periodic table as the original foundational element in matter is the hydrogen atom.
mm,
But the hydrogen atom is simply a consolidation of a bundle of frequencies that constitute the word as they speak in the Bible.
mm,
So, for instance, when they wanted to find that God particle we're talking
mm,
about,
mm,
well, that God particle was actually the European man is because of his pineal is calcified. He cannot do what melanin does in the activation of Kundalini though he can if he does certain things with his body, eats certain ways, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Melanin, being the semiconductor that it is, it has a way of channeling what's within the atom. So let me just explain what I'm saying to you.
Mm.
You heard about the Hadron Collider,
Yes.
that huge 5 mile thing that they had, that they created
Mm-hmm.
in order to smash atoms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wanted to find out. They didn't know that the atom was not the actual smallest thing in the universe.
Mm.
And so we said, well, okay, the atom is not the smallest thing in the universe. Then what is? So what they did was they took two protons and they had it come. They started the spin and they crashed it together, two protons together. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the cycle. The two protons represents the Eta and the Pingala in your body.
Mm.
That's the two snakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When they crashed the two protons together, what revealed itself is what they called the God particle. And what that God particle was is what we say in our class, a quantum central resonance, because the resonance looked just like a sound wave. So at the center of the very atom is a sound wave, and that's
Mm.
what we call the word in the Bible. In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God.
So at the center of every atom is a sound wave, you said.
It's a sound wave, it's a frequency. You
Mm.
can't see it,
Mm.
but the resonance is on the invisible plane. That's the active principle that actually manifests everything out from its stated design. So every thought, like I said, every thought is a design.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a design, when you think of particular thought, depending on the emotions that you put on it, because you have to have a healthy emotional body in order to create on the physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're creating, your emotions becomes the diesel fuel.
Mm.
But when it's going outward and it's angry, and you could dissipate that power.
Mm-hmm.
But you can use the power of emotion to central to give fuel to the affirmation that you're dealing with. This is why sex or the sexual intercourse is so powerful,
Cause
because you're releasing so much of your emotional energy.
right, right.
And the female would be the perfect chalice, or the perfect sounding board
Mm-hmm.
to enhance that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because of the fact that she has an unlimited supply of that emotional, and she is the font of the emotional energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we keep it in abeyance because of the fact that we're designed more for the intellect, for the grounding of that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so the emotional energy now is what we need, is what we put into all of our affirmations, but we direct it, we focus it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the focus of emotional energy along with the design template of the affirmation that brings what you want, what you desire into being.
Mm. So your intention got to be there, and your emotions got to be there.
The proper
The
emotions.
proper emotions.
Indeed, indeed. Because you don't take the diesel fuel and you pour it all over the truck for it to work.
Right, right,
You
right.
have to put it in a specific place for it to work.
Mhm. Is that how when the chi or the qigong masters or whatever, when they have the fire coming out their hand, are they're channeling emotion through their
Yeah.
arms instead of through
It,
their hands?
yeah, the emotion would be the fuel, and then intention would then spark the fire.
Okay.
Because your intention is actually the one aiming it. In other
Mm.
words, your intentions is the will
Yeah.
coming into being, so that you now can direct it. Now, the will can destroy you as well,
Right, right, right.
see, because you can take will and turn it back on yourself, and they call that ego.
Mm.
What Freud and Jung called the ego was actually free will.
Mm.
Free will displaced, free will not operating within the balance of Ma'at. But he
Wow.
also did that so that the elite white European could use certain psychological ways to say that if a poor person from a lower class sees himself as just as equal, as the upper class and begins to act in that manner, then ego is what he displays. But the one who is in the upper class who does that has a great willpower.
Mm,
He can do
mhm,
whatever he wants
mhm,
because of his stature, that type of thing. That's that sick
mm,
mentality that they have right now.
mm. Family, shout out to everybody. We didn't even get started yet. Me and Doc just be vibing. We just be vibing like that. We just got off to this vibing session, but we about to get started. Let me ask one more question before we go into
Sure.
some of the things I want to go into tonight. Me
Mhm.
and Blue Pill was having this conversation last time he was on the show, and I forgot what we was talking about. But Blue was like, "Yo, the $1 million question," and you was just talking about energy. What is it about the woman? And I know you would know this. What is it about the woman that she's so hot inside? I remember when I used to work as a street vendor outside. You came to Brooklyn and seen where I used to set up
Yeah.
at in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and I would be out there all day, so I get to see everything. The sisters would be outside with their stomach practically out during the colder winter, and they not cold. And
Hmm.
we was talking about at night. You know how the brothers get next to the big girls at nighttime and they be
Right.
warm, or your sister, or like the sisters, they'll touch you, their hands be warm. One time, my girl was massaging me with her hand. I'm like, your hand feel like an oven, baby. God damn, your hand is hot. What is it
Hmm.
about the sisters that they heat up so much, Doc?
Well, it would depend on the level of fat that they have, that they retain.
Mm,
There are two types of fat. There's the white fat and the brown fat.
mm,
Brown fat is the good fat. That's the fat that essentially is nurturing. The white fat is the one that insulates.
mm,
So if you have a woman, I'm not sure what the conditions were, but women are actually not the heat generators. So
mm,
you have someone that's kind of a gift.
mm,
Women get colder faster because their lungs are smaller than ours.
mm,
So they don't process oxygen into heat as efficiently as men do. Our lungs are huge compared to the female lungs.
mm,
That's
mm,
why you notice sometimes women say, well, you can feel a little bit of cool come at you, but it's intense on them.
mm,
One, because their skin is thinner than ours.
mm,
Our skin is much thicker than theirs.
mm, mm,
And because our skin is thicker, their skin thinner, they tend to get colder faster.
mm, mm,
And since their body doesn't process oxygen into heat as quickly, and they have that and the brown fat, depending on the level of the brown fat that they contain or retain,
mm,
that means that they can generate heat if they have a good abundance of the brown fat, which
mm,
probably your lady does have.
mm.
But if she's open at the stomach, check to see how much layer of fat that she has there, because
Man, the
that
sisters was slim when I was outside. The sisters with their stomach out, they be slim.
well, some of these sisters, you look at some of these sisters. Check this out. I
Mm,
remember when I used to go partying.
mhm.
These women be out there in the cold, cold weather,
Yeah,
freezing to
I
look
know.
good.
I know what you're gonna say. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
you probably have a gift from heaven when you're dealing with a woman who can stay warm in cold climates and actually exhibit that warmth. Because I know
Mm,
my lady, based on her energy, I have to constantly, when we're out, if it gets drops just significantly, even in Florida, I
mm,
got to
mm,
take mine off and give it to her.
mm.
Like I said, these sisters they want to look real cute, so they come out in this weather in these little short this with these short pants, short skirts, high heels. They want to look real cute, but they cold as hell.
All right, Doc. Let's get started. Doc, listen. Oh man. Oh, real quick, family. I see we got about 2,000 people in the room already. Shout out to all of y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, family. Doc is going to be on the Patreon for all my Patreon members. Doc will be on the Patreon tomorrow. We got an uncensored conversation happening tomorrow because some things been going on that needs to be talked about, and Doc talked about it before, and we're just got to go over. And obviously we can't talk about it on YouTube, but y'all see these people that's just dropping dead. I'm talking about people playing sports, newscasters, regular people. People's heart is failing left and right. There's a lot of weird things going on that they are not telling us about. They're just brushing it off. And Doc warned us about these things that will happen. So we're gonna have a good conversation. I know y'all seen the clip on Instagram of the it was a white female on. She was a newscaster and she was talking and she just got
Hmm.
dizzy out of no. You seen it, right, Doc?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that
man.
too. Hmm.
The black football player, man. This is
Yeah,
crazy. This
yeah.
is insane.
But you
So
remember the last lecture that I did? I did two webinars last year and the year before. And
uh,
the last year I did it, I had 10 to 15 different, um, what were they? They were athletes:
yeah,
soccer, tennis, basketball, volleyball, keeling over and dropping dead.
it's crazy, man.
Hmm.
We're gonna have a good conversation, and y'all know exactly what we talking about. Yeah, y'all saying in the chat, you know that the Jabberwocky. Y'all know exactly what we talking
Hmm.
about. But
Right.
we're gonna continue that conversation, that uncensored conversation tomorrow on Patreon. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you more information about that early in the day. Yeah, Diamond from Diamond and Still just died. Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
wondering if she took her back.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You ain't say that.
yeah,
It's all
Scott.
good.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Mhm.
But so all right. So it's 2023, Doc. There's good things coming down the line. You talked about the number 7, the number 8, but there's a lot of evil forces at play. So people trying to figure out, they want to elevate their consciousness, they want to elevate their spirit. They're trying to figure out how to get around these forces that we talk about. And people want to know, what should they be doing right now? Maybe in 2023, what they should be doing is different from what they should be doing in 2018. We don't know. But that's what we're here to talk to you about, Doc. What do you recommend right now with the direction society's going? We see AI virtually taking over everywhere. I see AI is like advancing extremely fast. They got the chat GT and the AI artists and all of that. I don't know if all of this is slowing our elevation down spiritually, but talk to me about some of the things we need to do, Doc, at this moment in history, 2023, so-called 2023, to continue to raise our consciousness to where it should be at that time at this time.
That's a good question. The amount of work it's going to take for us to actually transition, because
Mm,
that's what we're in a transition cycle,
mm,
and that transition cycle becomes ever more difficult when we look to all the things that are difficult around us. We tend to adapt to the difficulty and bring it into our lives. The difficulty is going to be in us convincing ourselves that we have a solution, and we have to stop looking to them because they're stating the problem and telling you what the solution is. You're not meditating on what each of these solutions is supposed to be for you. You're looking at the news, you're hearing the problems from other people. And so the news is telling you, well, here's what your problems are: war, pestilence, famine, disease, poverty. And that's all you keep getting. The news is a cycle of death and destruction, and everything having to do with you being dependent on the next I guess solution that the people who are playing the Hegelian dialectic on you, problem reaction solution. You're looking for the solution based upon the problems they're telling you you have. Well, of course, yes, they're telling you you have problems based upon the ones that they impose upon you. But have you first cleared up the problems within the family?
mm,
What is your trust between you and your wife and your husband, the children and you?
mm,
What trust do you have first and foremost? What kind of relationship do you have? What are you preparing your family for?
mm,
And if you don't have a family, if you have, say, an extended family, what are you all discussing within those ranks?
mm,
Are you discussing everything based upon what they're telling you the problem is? Because the first thing we have to do is to begin to trust one another again. What
mm,
they've done is destroyed the very fabric of solution making units, and that is family.
mm,
Family always comes up with a solution because families will get together with other families knowing exactly what we need.
mm,
But now we have all these scattered relationships. We don't
mm,
even know what the genders are. We have independent this and dependent that, and everybody is now scattered because there's no unifying force, which is family. Now everybody say, well, I don't have this and this, but I consider this people family. But what have you all worked out with each other?
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. The family has to be on the same page. You got to sit down and listen to what it is they're telling you the problem is, and then look at your resources. Look at the people that you know you can trust and have faith in that they will come to your aid and you can come to their aid. Because this is what's going to come. It's going to come down to the fact that who do you know that you
Mm-hmm.
can actually depend on?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are not thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
They're always looking out to the television for their solutions.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go within.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have everything you need to have solutions. You know what you need to do. You need to start stocking up food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there are people out there that have food pantries that you could purchase from. If you don't have enough money to do that, get together with a collective and start bringing food in. Water. Get your water together so that you can actually have water delivered to you. Make sure it's purified, it's run through a particular system and a filtering system that you can use for your family. Store up,
Mm-hmm.
if you have infants, store up on specific nutrition that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
need, especially if you're a nursing mother. You get
Mm-hmm.
that Juice Plus, and you get for baby food, they have organic baby food that you can create for yourself. Start getting into menus where you don't have to go out to eat constantly. See, there's a lot of little things that we take for granted that
Granted,
we've
yeah,
we've assigned to other people to do for us.
you're right.
But the first foundation is what are you and your family doing together? Because a lot of times things we got people two people working in a house, for example. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to, they don't want to talk about nothing. They're so tired. They want to get in, look at a little TV, and go back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes this monotonous thing that we do that we just lose sight of our humanity. And now that we are under a crisis, our humanity is something that we should cherish more than anything else right now.
Excellent.
Okay? So, family first, find out what you can trust, what you have, what your resources are. Make sure that you're getting ready to take your stuff out of the banks and putting them where it is we told you that you need that you get into. You get into your glint, you get into some cryptocurrency that you've done vetting on, like XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant. These are going to be for the future,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because money is going to change. Get into some gold. If you don't have gold, you can always get into a group. They have groups now that buy gold, have it stored someplace for them, and they can share it like a bank. They're creating modules of people who are buying gold, and that's going to become their bank.
Excellent.
You see? So these are the little things that you could be doing to help yourself. I do suggest that you take my course so that you can get into the metaphysics of what it is that this new cycle is going to be representing, especially in your mind and what's going to happen to you as this as the dome shifts and the programming changes so that a lot of people are going to have spiritual experiences. They're going to see things. They're going to hear things that does not comport with their mundane existence. And some people flip out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of that. And that's the ones that are going into the fentanyl and taking in all these drugs and so forth because they can't cope with the shifting of the frequency and the energy. And that's what's happening also. Remember, the word is changing its frequency inside of the atom, and therefore inside of your cells, and therefore inside of your body, and therefore inside of your mind. So know that when we talked about, I think, I don't know if you recorded that part where I talked about the Hadron Collider
Yeah.
creating that
Yeah.
God particle. Well,
Yeah.
the God particle is now said, okay, time's up. It's time to change the way you think.
Mm.
I'm going to send more frequency energies, a higher level of frequency energies, so that your body is going to ache, your head is going to ache, things about you are going to be tense for a
Mm.
while. You're not going to be able to sleep sometimes. All of that is the shifting cycle.
Mm. So some people will be experiencing the shift, and they may think mistake it for something health wise, like they're not eating right, but it's really just a shift. You say.
Right. And they're going to have some people are going to find themselves shaking for some reason. They've never shook before.
Mm.
What's wrong with my body? It's because there is an amp. It's like you're getting more juice pumped into you based upon the tenor of the time. Now remember, I told you that the sun is a computer, and it is a form of irradiating consciousness. It is what's changing the atmospheric dynamic of the spin particles in the air. Because remember,
Mm-hmm.
everything is water.
Mm-hmm.
So the water in your body is matching the change in frequency, and the sun is giving the instructions to, well, the sun actually is another part of your solar plexus. And as I was saying in my university, how the kundalini rises and your heart is connected directly to your pineal.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know that. The heart is the seat of the soul. Now, when you begin to deal with the unconditionalness of love, because when we talk about love, is like, what can you do for me? What are you bringing to the table, and so forth.
Right. Right.
There's a place where you have to go if you truly want to get into your spiritual self. Where I've been teaching this for like decades. There's a place you need to go within that completely dispenses with your qualification of what is good and what is evil. There's
Mm-hmm.
an unconditionalness that you have to think. That's the Maatian principle. It does not judge,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that's what we need to do in order for our physical frame to exist. But there is a place of unconditionalness,
Mm-hmm.
which we call unconditional love, that activates something within the bloodstream and blood crystals. That energy then causes a spark from the heart
Mm-hmm.
that filters through the solar plexus. That's the sun in as the sun out.
Mm-hmm.
The solar plexus, SOUL, from the heart,
Mm-hmm.
SOULRA, solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
That now begins the rising energy, and it gets into the third and fourth ventricle of the brain, what my students know as the cave of Brahma,
Mm-hmm.
because there's something in there called the substantia nigra. It's all black.
Right. Right.
And remember,
You
you
talked
hear me
about that.
speak about that many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Well, as the love energy, the solar energy, that spark goes up and travels the back end, the backside, as Moses, the backside, and then crosses. That's the crucifixion at the medulla oblongata. That's where the differentiation between the two thieves. That's when the Christ energy begins to light up the pineal gland, and that's at that particular time there's a burst of phosphine energy, almost like the fireworks,
Mm-hmm.
and then an arc, a rainbow arc, appears over the pineal.
Mm.
That arc is the first and only true arc
Of
of
the
the
covenant.
covenant.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this some people that happens to them automatically, and a lot of them are locked up in institutions right now. Why? Because nobody knows what's going on with them, and they don't know what happened to them. Some of them automatically trigger a kundalini rising,
Mm-hmm.
and that could happen. In sex, it could happen as well too. But like I said, this is a cleansing time, and a resting time, and an elevation time. It's also everything's happening right now. The time of rest that you see in the Bible, when they talk about God resting,
Mm-hmm.
no, there was a calculation before what becomes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is already consolidated within the seven before it becomes the eight. And then the eight begins the law. The eight creates the law for what was in the seven
Mm-hmm.
because it becomes the cycle. As above, so below.
What's this? I hear people talk. There's so much talk on the internet. There's a lot of it's misinformation. Some of it is useful, but on TikTok, a lot of people talking about the sun is blinking. Is there any truth to that? The
Well,
sun blinking?
there might be people working around the sun because I know that China launched an artificial sun.
Mm.
Did you hear what I
Yeah, I
said?
heard about. Yeah, I heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got people that's messing with the God principle.
Uh-huh.
So what we have to do, we have to remember that there are people who want to play God because
Mm.
they've now found a few scientific secrets and so forth. In fact, they've been trying to dig up graves in order to get the DNA from our ancestors. And supposedly the Iraq War, for example,
Mm,
was them going in after the Nephilim, you know, and going in after the Stargate that they found there. But
mm,
they said that they went into the museum to dig up the bones of what they had secretly in Iraq, which were these skulls that were about this big that
mm,
belonged supposedly to what they called the Nephilim, and they wanted to take that DNA in order to infuse it through the CRISPR technology. They want
mm,
to resurrect Akhenaten. They want to resurrect Ramesses. They want to resurrect the Luciferian energies that were in some of these evil bastards that were destroyed by humanity, who came down and we overthrew them
mm,
because of what they were actually doing to enslave lots of what humanity was about, or to take over the bodies of what humanity was about.
mm,
But like I said, this being a spiritual time, uh, it's to watch your thoughts, because they're going to be more and more vulnerable to influence and to even walk-ins to take you over. And watch your children too, because these creatures are using their blood as sacrifice. Be very
mm.
mindful of your children.
No, definitely, definitely. What do you? What's this? What, you know, we're talking about things that happen with the body, like we was talking about the Kundalini. What
Mhm.
happens on the inside of your body when somebody gets goosebumps? Like there's been times in everybody's life where they may have read something or they see somebody or something happens and they just get goosebumps all over. What is going on with the goosebumps?
Goosebumps is actually a contraction that your skin does in order to conserve heat.
Mm,
Because a lot of times, if you're getting goosebumps, um, there is this feeling of coldness that comes over you, fear. So your body, when if you say you're fearful of something and you get goosebumps, or if you're cold and you get goosebumps, the body retains does that to retain heat, so that it gives the organs in your body protection and the ability to regulate energy towards the adrenals, so you can either fight or or run.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Definitely interesting. So, with you was talking about some of the things people need to do in terms of growing their own food. Is these food prices? Do you think they're going down anytime soon? Because
Um,
the way the food prices is crazy, doc.
oh no, I heard that they first of all they were killing off all kind of cows. Number one, they've been slaughtering cows. I'm not talking about slaughtering for food, killing them. Period.
Just killing them.
Just killing them. Up in, I think it was, I don't know if it's in Oklahoma or in Denver or someplace out there. Tens of thousands of cows were killed. They're destroying crops right now, so that the corn, for example, the corn, the seeds of the corn, are not actually germinating properly. And
Mm-hmm.
you gotta look at the what they're spraying up above as well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you're dealing with Monsanto, and there's a lot of the so-called third world countries. They've been uh, they've been going to court against Monsanto, because the people are actually dying from these non-regenerative seeds or seed crops that they create. The genetics of the genetically engineered food are affecting the healthy genetics of human beings, which essentially is part of the plan anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because the generational seeds, or the grandfather seeds, I call them, and grandmother seeds, they have them stored up in Alaska, or some cold deposit in Switzerland. I mean, it's underground. Hundreds of tons of seeds are underground.
Wow.
Real seeds. I'm not talking
Yes.
about these seeds that you're dealing with here.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn. Wow. And what about the weather? Do you see it getting hotter and hotter? Like, what do you see as far as the weather?
Well, nature shifts herself if she's diseased. For instance, your body, when it becomes diseased, it heats up.
Mm-hmm.
That's to burn it off. That's the interferon, so that the body will burn whatever is there, cause whatever is there to be destroyed in the bloodstream, and then you sweat it out through a fever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's what's happening with Mother Nature. All the crap that European technologies of the past has been doing to the planet. There's no global warming. The warming is the fluctuation of temperatures in the body of the earth, the living body of the earth, to offset and to purify itself from what man is. The earth is just going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
All this other stuff about, the earth warming up and polar bears can't get on the ice anymore, that happens constantly. It's hundreds of thousands of years of that particular cycle taking place. New continents rise as old continents fall.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Oh,
going to see that happen. And there's nothing coming from outer space. It's coming from outside of the dome, where there are other domed realities that live along the flatted plane of what we call Earth.
speaking of the dome, and a lot of people talk about the flat Earth versus round Earth. Depending on whether Earth is flat or round, does it affect our ability to manifest on this realm? What effect does that have on us? Because the Earth is flat or because it's round?
Well, our perception is what makes the Earth and reality what it is.
So it
If
could be both. They could be round and flat.
Yeah, but we couldn't live on a round Earth.
Okay.
The reason for that is if it's spinning at what the levels they're saying it is. What I'm saying is our perception is what makes reality come about, which
Uh-huh.
is why our perception of reality is conditioned very early.
Hmm.
From the time you're a little boy or little girl
Yeah.
in school, the first thing you see on the teacher's desk is a round globe.
Hmm.
That you imprint from the beginning. And that's the time when children learn at their fastest and their most complete.
Hmm.
They lay down foundations in their learning that stays with them throughout. And of
Hmm.
course, if you're consistent with that particular programming, that's all they know all the way up to adulthood.
So yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
once you do that, then that fixation causes the world to become, if you have billions of people thinking that way, then
Hmm.
that's what it is. That's all they will see because that's all the conditioning will be. But those who break away and see it because they're saying, wait a minute, something's a little different here. When the reality happens and you begin to understand that water cannot live on a, because none of the physics show that water sticks to anything as you curve it.
Hmm.
Okay? Gravity, whatever. Nonsense. In fact. So the higher up you go in an airplane, as you've heard me say and you heard others say, the horizon rises with you. So if that's the case, if you're curved, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Okay, if you're curved like this and I'm rising up, I should be able to see the curve after I've reached a certain height above the earth. We don't. And people in airplanes, they know and they see that if the convex of the plane's windows, if they're made in such a way that it distorts your vision of the earth, but there are times if you can just look just right, you will see that the horizon is completely flat. And you see it sometimes in the new movie that was out called Top Gun. There was a time when you saw that these planes were way up in the air, and when they showed you the horizon, it was flat.
Hmm.
The higher up you go, if it's 25,000 miles around, as they say,
Hmm.
only 25,000 miles around, they say.
Hmm.
If that's the case, and I rise up to a certain height, 6 feet at a time, I should be able to see the curve.
Hmm.
All airplanes have gyroscopes that show a flat horizon line. No airplane ever shows a curved horizon line.
Hmm.
No engineer, for example, who's laying down railroad tracks ever factors for a curvature of the earth.
Hmm.
NASA knows that. Everyone who are engineers, scientists who deal with buildings, they know that the earth does not curve. That's a lie. That is one of the biggest lies. And once the change of perception takes place, then everything that they're putting down will be questioned. That's why they have to maintain that and have people like they have jackasses like Neil deGrasse Tyson going
Mm.
around showing. They had one demonstration. He has this big ball Earth, and he has one of the people who are the workers come with a little moon, and says, "Okay, where do you think the moon is in conjunction with the Earth? This is the Earth, and let's say that this is the moon." And so the guy's standing here, and this is the Earth, and he's standing. He says, "Well, how about here?" So the guy, Neil deGrasse, of course, he's a showman. He says, "Nah." Eh. He says, "Start." He said, "Turn around and start walking." So the guy ends up walking all the way off stage, and he says, "Well, the reason why it looks like that on your page in your book is because we have to scrunch the picture together." That's his excuse.
Mm. Wow.
We have to squinch the picture together. This is the nonsense that they're telling people, and this is us to behave because these are the high priests of high knowledge. They know everything.
Mm.
So we just surrender our critical thinking because we've been conditioned to believe exactly what it is he continues to propagate. But now I come along, and brother King Simon asks him, "I'd like you to speak. You to be on the stage. I'll take care of everything. You will talk with Dr. Valentine and blah blah blah." King Simon said the guy, I guess after a while, he went back to him and he said no. Why? Because I had the scientific facts to show that he was full of you know what, and that he's a lie. He's a shill for the Vatican.
Mm. Wow.
So when perception changes, this is what seven is about. Seven is about the occult. Seven is about metaphysics. That's why I really, really, I'm not just doing this for myself because I'm just telling you all that my university teaching metaphysical psychology, it is to change your psychology and the way that you're thinking outside of the box so that you can understand what the invisible world, how that language works before it becomes visible.
What's the website, Doc? You didn't get the website earlier. What's the website to the
Uh,
university?
I guess I sent you everything in your
Oh, it's
email.
in there. Yeah, yeah. Let me see. It's right here. All right, my fault. www.uksnow.org.
Yeah, uksnow.org.
I'm gonna put Doc's whole list in the chat, family, of everything that he got going on, whether it's the Glint, Juice Plus, Novatech, homeschooling. I'm gonna put all that right now because it's in the description. Y'all could go to the description and see it, but I'm gonna put it in the chat for y'all so y'all could check it out. A lot of things going on with Dr. Valentine. I just they gave me an error code. Well, you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So
Doc, somebody,
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah, somebody had a question.
somebody had an interesting question when you was just talking about flat Earth. They said, if the Earth is flat, how do you explain different time zones?
The time zones are artificial. They're just based upon where the sun is at a particular time in the circle as it circles above us. The if you're looking at the circle, which essentially this, let's just say you're looking at this, the
Mm-hmm.
sun and the moon. This is the sun. This is the moon. As the sun circles above us, it circles in a parabolic manner. So it's almost like elongated. It goes.
Mm,
Now, we just came out of the cycle where it went 3 days in one direction at the southern tip, and it stayed there in this particular cycle for 3 days before now it starts towards the northern hemisphere.
mm,
What happens is it gets, for us in the northern hemisphere, as it comes out of June the 21st, that's Judas, that's the crab
mm,
that goes sideways. That's the one that betrays Jesus, the
mm,
Christ, the Son,
mm,
and it goes down. It begins a long parabolic spin or cycle going around further and further. It starts like this, and it begins to start going outward, 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 until it goes down to the lower part where it's summertime in Australia and wintertime up in the north. Now, after December 21st and 24th, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, on the 25th, it now starts its cycle back up to the north, like you see now. And as it comes to the north, its circles become tighter and tighter and tighter, and the days become longer for us. So, as it's not that the sun is going down or we're spinning outside of